What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Two Worlds Podcast. I'm Jake, and with me, as always, is the Kevin Feige to my Marvel Studios. It's Casey. What's up, buddy?
Not much, man. What's up with you?
Oh, just living that dream, as they say.
I always love, like, after seeing the meme where it's like, when a white person says living that dream, it's just, they are in the worst place.
Yeah, I'm not, but it's just what you say.
It's like, after we get off here, we can have some real talk, man, just to see how you're really doing, okay?
You just really want me to spill my darkest secrets on this show.
I said when we get off, we're going to bro chat.
Yeah, but you're like, yeah, but we're going to keep record on.
Well, I'm going to have my record on. Like, you won't know about it.
Right. All right. Let's hop into some news. We're back on our usual, you have more than me, so I'll let you take it away first.
All right. So first thing I saw, and this was something I was kind of excited about, Adam Wingard, he was the director of Kong versus Godzilla, or Godzilla versus Kong. That's the, Christian name for it, is in the early talks to return to the MonsterVerse. The title being floated around is Son of Kong. Which I don't know how that's going to work, because like having Godzilla just randomly have a kid, it's fine because it's like, oh, reptiles, they lay eggs. Mammals don't. So I don't know how they're going to be like, turns out there's a random baby Kong floating around that no one knew about. So, I mean...
Well, I'm hoping they show how it was made.
That's the first 30 minutes.
Just kidding. This isn't a furry podcast.
Yet. But, like, my nerd theory, which is what I wanted it to be, but it's not going to happen. So, like, it's not going to happen at all. But what I want it to be is Son of Kong. He's in the I'm going to call it the Middle Earth, even though I know it's the Hollow Earth. He's in the Middle Earth and living his best life. And he finds an egg. And he's like, oh, there's something in this. The egg hatches. It's a little turtle. He raises it. It becomes Gamera. And he rides around Gamera. When Gamera's flying around in the shell, he's riding around fighting bad guys, fighting a Gauss or something. I think that'd be awesome. And like, because there's rumors Toho's going to pull out from the MonsterVerse. So you just give us Gamera instead. They need money.
That is an interesting theory.
I mean, it's not a theory because I know it's not going to happen. It's just like it's like a dream list.
Sure.
And really quick to piggyback off of that, I didn't write this down, but like I saw something on Twitter today. I don't know how true it is because like Kaiju news outlet was not reporting on it. Just like one random thing said like they're gonna recut Godzilla versus Kong, and it's gonna be black and white, and they're gonna give them the old Toho sounds. Which it's like, I don't think, I've not heard anything else about this besides this one person on Twitter that announced it. So it might not be true, but it'd be pretty cool. So it's like the Toho silver cut of Kong versus Godzilla.
I mean, are people like asking for this?
I mean, I think it's more
announcement or...
Yeah, I think like after the maybe real announcement came out, people were like, that sounds awesome. I want this now. So like, I don't think anyone thought that it would be actually a thing until someone brought it up, and now they're like, okay, we'll take it.
Right. Yeah. Little thing from me. Titans season 3 casts Vincent Kartheiser, that's how you say it, as Jonathan Crane. So that's a fun little thing.
Did you get a look at the guy? Because I didn't Google him. I didn't know if you thought that, oh, yeah, I could see him being that or not at all.
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay.
I mean, at this point, it doesn't matter.
Fair enough. So on that subject of casting, Finn Wittrock has been cast in HBO Max's Green Lantern. He's not a ginger, and I'm going to pull up Robert Venditti's tweet about it because it was pretty silly. Like just looking at the guy, he looks more like a Rainer than a Guy Gardner, and it's one of those things where I'm like, first off, this dude's like, I've not seen him act, so I don't want to be like just about that, but it's also like he's way too pretty to be Kyle. Like that's how he looks, you know? Or I mean to be Guy, because Guy's not like, you know, Guy's like the type of person that you would not ever describe as pretty. But then did he went, I don't think I've ever weighed in on a film/TV casting, but I guess this is my hill to die on. DYE. Guy Gardner better have red hair. And it made me chuckle.
I don't disagree with him.
Yeah, but it's just the way the wordplay.
Yeah.
It's right up my alley. But yeah, no, I mean it's one of those things where it's like I'm sure the guy like Guy Gardner to me is probably the easiest Green Lantern to act because it's just like, yeah, be a jerk. That's easy to do. So I mean, I think the dude's gonna be able to act that way.
It's easy to be a jerk. It's not easy to be a likable jerk, and that's what Guy is.
Not all the time.
I don't know. I'd argue a good chunk of the time.
Fair enough, man. But he also has to be a big enough jerk that when he gets punched in the face, which is going to happen a lot, people will cheer.
For sure. See, that needs to happen for him to become the likable jerk. That's his cocoon.
Oh, okay.
He does look like Kyle, though. I just Googled him.
Yeah. So I mean, that's the weird part of the casting. It's like he's a layup for Kyle. Like I hope they now cast Kyle as like just the biggest ginger on the planet. They're like, what are you guys doing? So NetherRealm Studios, they do Mortal Kombat and Injustice. They're reportedly working on a Marvel game. So might get a Marvel fighting game in the style of Mortal Kombat and Injustice, which this could be kind of cool because then they could make, because like every once in a while they'll put like DC characters in Mortal Kombat games. We could get like, you know, a Marvel character in the Mortal Kombat games to go against and then you have the DC character too, so you could then end up having a DC versus Marvel finally happening in video games in some way, so that could be pretty cool. But I don't know, Marvel does not seem to care about fighting games. Like they've tried so many different times to make that work and it just kind of flubs out.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Marvel versus Capcom was a pretty big hit for them.
Like it was, but I mean, they could have done like as much crap as Capcom likes to push out. They could have done a lot more with it, and then they just like each one progressively got less and less after the second one. Like the second one peaked, and then they're just like, sure, do whatever. We don't care. We don't want money. And so now they're doing this, and it's just like I have a feeling you're going to drop the ball on it, like you did Marvel versus Capcom towards the end, and then like this like Marvel Nemesis, I think was the name of that game. I don't know if you ever played that, but
never even heard of it.
It was like they made a bunch of brand new characters for it, and it was just like, oh yeah, this guy's big and strong. And then we also got the Thing to fight him. Then we have this one guy that's agile, kind of like Spider, and he shoots stuff, kind of like Spider-Man. And then we have Spider-Man to fight him. Then there's a guy with claws. Wolverine's gonna fight him, and it's just like the same exact character, you know, character design and character fighting style versus the superheroes we know and love. So it's like, why am I going to play as these losers over here when I can play as the guys I care about? And it just flopped big time because they tried to, I think they even tried to like shoehorn them into comics, like the Nemesis people or whatever the name of the game was. And it just, no one cared because it wasn't good.
Just wait, their first appearance is going to skyrocket after this podcast.
For sure. They're going to be going right towards it.
I mean, that's exciting because I know a lot of people are into both those, franchises, Injustice and Mortal Kombat. I happen to be hot garbage at side fighting games like that, so I don't really care too much because I'm bad at it. And I would be bad at this one too.
Yeah, I mean, see, like this is the difference between you and me. I'm bad at them too, but I'm like not that good at other video games. Like where you're like really good at like, you know, first person shooters and stuff where it's like, oh yeah, you're used to winning. So like with me anymore, I'm just like, I'm just here to enjoy playing as Superman.
Right. That's all I want for you, bud.
Thanks, man. Okay, really quick. This is off subject. Remember that time I was over at your house when we were like still in high school and you got the new Street Fighter, and then you were playing it online. And that dude, I was like Dan, I was just being stupid. And this dude, like every time I'd get up, he'd just throw me and then get right by me. And then, like as soon as I'd get up, he'd just throw me again.
And he was probably 10 years old.
Yeah.
Too. And I was so hyped for that game. I did like the game, but I never won an online fight, even like being cheap, you know.
Yeah.
It's bad.
Like I used to be good at Tekken, and I could win some games online. But it was also like as soon as like I'd get like I was like let's just say like like I was like a C tier, like high C tier, like I could beat a B, like a low B tier if he's like stop paying attention for a second. But it's like if I there was one time where I was like the really good people and it was just like I didn't even get a move off. Like this isn't fun for me.
Right. And that's how I feel all the time when I play him.
All right. So Sweet Tooth, the trailer for that dropped. Did you get to watch that at all?
No.
It got me pretty hyped. It honestly made me like because it's coming out on my birthday, June 4th, and I was like, man, I haven't read these in a long time. I don't remember much about them because when I would get the trades, I would get them at like years apart, so I wouldn't remember stuff that happened in like the trade before. But it looks pretty great, and it's one of those things where it's like it makes me want to get like an omnibus of Sweet Tooth just to devour before this comes out because I'm pretty excited now.
Yeah, I hope it's good.
Yeah, I have a feeling it's at the very least going to be passable, and like I said, I haven't seen it in forever, so like I don't think there's going to be much nerd rage about it.
Right. And let's be real, at this point, Jeff Lemire has put in the work. He deserves it.
Yeah, for sure. And while we're on the subject of, creator-owned stuff, Invincible has been renewed for not just season 2, but for season 3. Season 1 ended. It was wild. Y'all need to be watching it.
Okay. Let's see. U.S. Agent, if you were a fan or are a fan of that miniseries, did it wrap up? Was the last issue it?
I'm not sure. I didn't get the last issue that came out yet, so
well, either way,
I'll find out.
If you like that series, U.S. Agent will be a part of this United States of Captain America that's coming out in June or July, whenever that is. So if you like that character and you were bummed that his miniseries was over, pick up United States of Captain America because he's going to be with Bucky and Sam and Steve going across the country.
I am going to say this, though. Unless, like, Priest is writing it, it's hard for me to get overly excited about U.S. Agent. Because that was, like, one of the big selling points for me as Priest. So, I mean, we'll see, I guess.
Yeah.
So, you're a Stargirl fan, so you might be excited about this. Season 2 is set to premiere August 10th. It seems like it's an extra long time, or is that just in my head?
Yeah, it's been a long time for sure. I couldn't tell you when. I don't know. Has it been a year? Has it been over a year?
I thought it had, but I don't know for sure. All I know, it's been a while.
It has. But that is exciting. The way they ended the first season, especially the final scene, makes me really excited for the next season.
Yeah, and you're going to get Shade as a villain, and then also the other dude. I think we talked about his costume on here. The Eclipso, yeah. Where it's like, you guys are doing a little too much with the Eclipso costume. Like, less is more, I think, but whatever.
Yeah. And also, gosh, why can I only think of Jeff Winger? What's his name? Joel McHale.
Yeah.
More of him, so that's exciting.
Yeah. And this is something that, like, I think it's basically just me that's going to be excited about it. But Arrow Films is releasing the Daimajin trilogy. It's like this kaiju movie that I've been wanting for so long. But it's like, to get it used, you're going to have to drop about over $100, and they might be like bootleg copies off of eBay. And so I just never got them. And now like I can pre-order it for $70, all three of them, right now. So like I'm gonna be doing that here in a bit. So I'm really excited. Gonna have a bunch of special features. It's the same people that did the Gamera one, so I do know I need to pre-order it, because if I don't, I might not get it. And yeah, it's gonna be pretty great.
You're not familiar with the kaiju in this one, or these movies?
I mean, I just know it's Daimajin. He looks like a big statue basically, and looks neat. I've never seen them, but it's one of those ones where people always put it pretty high up there with the Godzillas and the Gameras and that type of thing. And I guess they're all kind of the same movie though. Like they have different directors, but it's like, oh yeah, this village is under attack. They call upon this deity, Daimajin, to help them out. But then like he's not really that good of a guy. So like he beats the bad guys, but then they have to kill, they have to stop Daimajin themselves, turn back into a statue.
Oh, I guess that's like he looks like the Chinese terracotta statues.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean it looks cool. Matt Frank's doing the art for the whole thing. Like
what?
Yeah, it's just like it's like he's working for Marvel, but this is his bread and butter still.
Yeah. Well, I hope it's good for you, man.
Yeah, man. And then something that, like, I don't know if this movie's ever going to come out, but Morbius has been delayed again to January 28th, 2022. Maybe this will be the last delay. Maybe it won't. We'll see.
So this was only by like a week, though, right?
I thought it was supposed to be out in October, last I heard.
I don't know. I thought I saw something today that was like delayed again, but only by a week this time.
Okay, might have been. It's about as bad as Godzilla versus Kong was with the delays. So we'll see.
And Black Widow.
Yeah.
Don't really care though about this one as much as the other two.
Yeah, no, not at all. It's just like I like Morbius okay, and it might be an okay movie, but I'm not gonna see it in theaters. I mean, I waited for Venom to show up on Stars, and I like Venom a lot more than I like Morbius. So, the young rock star, and I'm gonna butcher his name, Yuli Latukifu, is going to play an unspecified role in Black Adam. So that could be interesting. Since he's plays Young Rock in Young Rock, I'm assuming he's going to play Young Shazam in Black Adam, but that's just my guess.
I don't know what Young Rock means.
There's a show that's about Dwayne, my good friend Dwayne Johnson's life, and it's called Young Rock, and it's got like a very young version of, Mr. Johnson, and then like a high schooler aged version, and that's this kid, and he's Young Rock.
He's very jacked.
Yeah, well, Young Rock,
right?
Yeah,
right on.
He's clanging and banging, as he says.
All right, my second to last thing. DC announced DC Fandom is set to return this year on October 16th. We got a lot of cool announcements last year, so I'm looking forward to hearing what they got this year.
Yeah, that's going to be exciting. You're going to more than likely scoop me on that one, so you'll have a bunch of stuff that day, and I'll be just like, but, it's going to be cool. I'm excited for it. And my last bit of news, this is the dumbest news we have, and it's hilarious to me. Like, we're kind of the target audience for this, too, like you and me, because we're both NBA fans. But NBA and Marvel are teaming up tonight for Arena of Heroes. It's going to be a game against the Warriors and Pelicans Monday night on ESPN2 at 7:30. So you turn on to ESPN2. So it's about to start, actually. You turn on ESPN2. And basically they're going to have like Marvel themed stuff. Like, I'm assuming it's going to be like an opening where it's like, we need your guys' help. whichever one of you is the best basketballer, you're going to be an honorary Avenger to help us take out these aliens, you know? And then the game will start, and like every once in a while it'll cut back. Like the NFL did this with SpongeBob one time, so it's going to be about the same thing, I'm assuming, but with Marvel characters. It's going to be stupid. So, I mean, if it was like, you know, the Bucks versus the Spurs, I'd be watching it right now. I'd be like, Jake, we're doing our homework or due diligence for the podcast. We have to watch this. But since it's two teams I don't care about, I don't care at all.
Right, but I'm still going to ask you, who you got between the two of them?
It's going to be Steph.
Yeah, I think so too. He's gonna drop 50 points or whatever, like he does sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, like the only other person it could be is gonna be, you know, Steven Adams.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely not Zion.
Yeah, no, I mean, Zion could do it because like there's times where Steph does just have his cold games, but I highly doubt it.
Yeah. All right, and then my final thing. Marvel put out this thing earlier this morning. I don't know if you saw it, Casey. It was basically just welcoming everyone back to like the theaters to see the next wave of Marvel stuff. And they had this nice voiceover by Stan the Man Lee. So if you're a big fan of Stan, it'd probably get you in the feels a little bit. But it was nice, and we caught our first little glimpse of Eternals footage in it. And I do mean a glimpse. We got barely anything, but we still saw like little snippets for the movies that are coming out this year and maybe early next year. And then they basically just gave the entire lineup for this next phase. So since you did see it, Casey, what are your thoughts on
it? They have to show a lot more of the Eternals to make me excited about it. And seeing all of the different logos, the upcoming ones, that's pretty exciting. And like we got the Fantastic Four, that's pretty cool. But yeah, like trying to build around the Eternals, it's just, I think that's gonna blow up in their face. I don't think it's gonna work.
Yeah. I didn't really think it seemed like they were building around it. It was just like, hey, here's your first look at it. Because we got like quite a bit more from Black Widow and then Shang-Chi.
Yeah, I'm just going by with the stuff, the way it makes like the stuff that they've talked about, like, you know, behind the scenes with Marvel. Like, it sounds like this is gonna be another Inhumans where they're gonna be trying to push, you know, the Eternals, make them a thing again. And it might not
they
be.
Have to. I mean, whether it succeeds or not, that's what they have to do.
Yeah, and that's just one of those things where it's like, it's a shame that you cast some of these actors, because I don't think this movie's gonna do near as well as you want it to, because these characters, like the Inhumans, are not ones that people really care about.
Yeah. But I do care about Kit Harington and Kumail Nanjiani. So
yeah, dude, it's hilarious. I watch a lot of like fitness YouTube stuff, and like there's been so many different videos about Kumail and how he's gotten like, you know, Hulk Hogan, and they're like, is he on steroids? It's like, yeah, he's like 40 years old, more than likely, but still impressive. And then like some people are like, it's impressive, but like, what's, you know, what does he use and all this other stuff? I'm like, it's not that big of a deal, guys. Let's talk about something else.
People are bored. They need something to talk about. Either way, it did get me pretty excited for Black Widow and Shang-Chi. I was excited for those anyways, but I think both of those look like pretty fun movies.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with the Black Widow. It's like, my excitement level is just like at the max that it can be for that movie. And that's not like me, you know, crapping on it. It's like, I'm excited. This is just not going to get me more excited because I think I've seen everything they're going to show, you know? Right. So, I mean, yeah, I'm not crapping on that part, but it's just kind of like, cool, let's actually have the movie come out, guys. Come on.
Yeah, for real. Okay, I think that's the end of the news.
Heck yeah.
All right, so we're going to take our ad break. and then we'll come back and discuss the comics we read. So we'll be right back. All right, welcome back. Let's talk about our comics. Casey's going to give a little brief rundown of last week's, and then we'll get into what we read this week. So take it away.
Yeah, so my comics didn't come in again this week, so I kind of had to make do. Jake had some trouble with Diamond, which is sadly standard for him. But yeah, so I ran through everything I read last week. I got it last week. So to start, I'm going to talk about the mini deaths of Layla Starr. I'm going to be really quick about this. This is by Ram V and illustrated by Philip Andrade, maybe, and it's really good. I'd highly recommend it. I'm not going to go in like big details about this stuff, but I would just say pick it up if you can. I don't know if it's sold out. Jake, did it?
Yes,
it did. Okay, so when second printing happened,
I think it's already been announced for a third printing.
Oh wow! So yeah, if you get the chance, pick it up. It's really good. Like it's got a lot of like it basically deals with this person, death, being fired, and she took over a person's body, and now she's trying to kill the thing that kind of put her out of a job. So it's really cool. So yeah, buy that. No ratings, just buy it. The Trials of Ultraman. This is by Kyle Higgins and Matt Groom with Francisco Mana on the art. The art's really good, but it still just has me going, I don't really care about this that much. But yeah, the art's good. If you're not a tokusatsu fan, I'd say skip it. Like, it's fine, but there's nothing about it that makes me go, oh my god, you guys need to read this. So yeah, just skip that. And then Godzilla, Monsters and Protector. I got the sweet cover from Jake. It pays to, have your co-host be a person that owns a comic book shop. And this is by Eric Burnham with art by Dan Schooning. And like Jake said, this is very much for kids. So it's like, if you're a kid, check it out. Or if you're just a diehard Godzilla fan like me, check it out. Otherwise, might as well skip it also. Okay, so The Flash 769, and this is by, gotta find it, think I should have been better prepared, Jeremy Adams with David LaFuente on the art and Brandon Peterson. And this is the cover. I absolutely loved it. You can kind of see on the cover there's a girl, and it's who's a Booster Beetle, I think, or Blue Goal, or something like that. And I don't know if she's their kid or just their protege, but this was awesome. Such a great issue. I had so much fun reading it. Like, I want more of this character. It was great. Her name's Gold Beetle. I want more Gold Beetle. And yeah, I would highly recommend it. The first issue of this run, me and Jake both did not like it. Thought it was crap. This is awesome. I'm glad I stuck around for it. Then Ultra Mega number 2. This is by James Herron and Dave Stewart. And this one's good. It's just not as good as the last one. You're dealing with the aftermath of the first issue. But yeah, I would give this a recommend. You guys should be reading this book. It's awesome. And then lastly, it's Catwoman by Ram V. And where's the artist's name? Oh, come on, Casey. You can find it. I'm just going to go with Blanco on the art because I don't want to spend too much time looking. Oh, wait. It's right at the very first page. I'm an idiot. Fernando Blanco on the art. And I love this. There's only 2 things I don't like is I hate Catwoman's costume design because it's like, why you need your pits out? Like, that doesn't make any sense. She's just like, no, the leather I put deodorant on, double antiperspirant, and I still sweat right through the leather. It's disgusting. So I just have to let him out. And then also the assassin dude, he's kind of cool, but he also he just looks like the world's biggest hipster. And yeah, he's killing people, but it's I think it's just oh yeah, we want to make, this guy's supposed to be pretty cool. And it's I'm just man, he's just really punchable. That's my only, my only thing when I see him. So those are only downsides, but you really need to be reading this book. It's fantastic. Ramvy's killing it. And that's all the ones I read from last week. And then, what did you read this week, bud?
I read Teen Titans Academy #2, Action Comics 1030, Detective Comics 1035, Robin #1, and Beta Ray Bill #2.
Nice. So, since my comics didn't come in, I just thought to myself, it'd be cool if I just went on Comixology and bought books that I would never normally read. That was my whole thought process. So I picked up Savage Avengers, #20, the Batman and Scooby-Doo Mysteries issue. I don't know what the issue number is. I'll find it really quick.
Should be #1.
I think it's number 3.
Oh, is it digital first?
Yeah, I think so. Yes, chapter 3. Standstill, #2. Miles Morales, Spider-Man, #25. New Mutants, #17. I bought the Amazing Spider-Man Curse of the Man thing, not knowing that it was like part 3 of it. And I was like, well, I'm just not going to even read this. I just wasted my money on that one. Harley Quinn, #2. And then also Teen Titans Academy, #2.
All right. So we read nothing the same.
Except for Teen Titans.
Except for Teen Titans. So I guess we'll put that one last.
Yeah.
All right. I feel like everything that I read is stuff that you want to read or are going to read, right?
Seems like most of it, yeah.
All right. So I'll be spoiler free on these. Okay. Action Comics 1030. That one is written by Philip Kennedy Johnson, and art is done by Daniel Sampier. So it's like part 1 of like the true War World stuff that Johnson is getting into, and I thought it was awesome. Like, he's setting up War World. I mean, since I read his Last God, like, he just does this sort of thing so well, where he sets up like, or just builds upon the lore of War World that we already knew and just made it even cooler. And yeah, I don't want to say much more about it because I want Casey to be spoiler or not have any spoilers, but I thought it was really cool. There's some good stuff with Batman and Ray Palmer, and there's a good little character moment with Jonathan Kent and Damian, and yeah, it's good stuff. I really like this issue. It's a 9 out of 10 for me.
Nice, man. I'm really excited to read that, so I'm hoping I love it as much as you did.
Me too.
So, all right, so I'm going to start with Standstill, #2, and this is created by Justin Gray and Jimmy Broxton.
Not Jimmy Palmiotti?
No. And like that's kind of why I picked it up, because I like Justin Gray from everything he did teaming up with Jimmy. So I was like, I'll give this a go. And I'm going to be honest, I did not like it too much. So basically a big pandemic basically happened, and like I'll see how many people it says if I can find it. Okay, I don't see it, but I think it's like 6 billion people on Earth just were frozen. Like they're breathing, but they just can't move, and they're like just stopped in place. Don't, it's just this crazy disease, went through. And so you're following these different people throughout. So like the one guy is like trying to take care of his wife that he loves so much. He's just trying to take her to a place and get safe. And this other dude's just a complete scumbag. Right before all this happened, he murdered his boss. And then like he comes through and he sees everyone, passed out, and he does some creepy stuff. Then there's a girl that wakes up in bed with this other girl, and she's like, "Okay, time to wake up." And the girl's not responding, but she's like, "Okay, I don't know what to do." Her phone's not working or anything like that, because basically a bunch of crap, everyone just kind of stopped, everything stopped, and like the towers are down and all this other crap because she slept in because she got way too drunk, and yeah, everyone's just frozen. She doesn't know what the heck's going on. And then it ends with the dude, like the one guy with the wife, talking on a ham radio, and there's a person that's like, oh, I took my boat off to sea as soon as this stuff happened, and it kind of goes, when he says that, it goes to a submarine. So it's not like terrible at all, but it's also like, it gives me Why the Last Man vibes. And like, as I'm reading this, my whole thought was like, why don't I just read Why the Last Man? It's better in every way. So that's the main downside to it. It's just not as good as like stuff that's done this before. So I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10. I'm not gonna be picking up the next issue.
All right. Next, I'll talk about Detective Comics 1035. That was written by Mariko Tamaki, and the art was done by Dan Mora. And this issue is awesome too. I really, really like that this is just a comic about Batman doing detective work. Like, I know that sounds crazy, but it's not always like that. So I really like what Tamaki's doing. We just see a lot of internal dialogue on Bruce trying to solve what happened in the issue, and it just takes me back to like an old noir detective movie, where you're just hearing their thoughts, but they're not saying it throughout the whole thing. So that's fun. But basically, somebody from like an old Gotham money family gets kidnapped, and Batman's trying to figure out what happened to him. And not all is as it seems, as is usually the case. But this book is like a breath of fresh air, and this has nothing to do with like the James Tynion Batman stuff, but like I feel like a lot of Batman stories, it's like, this is going to change Gotham forever. And this isn't. This is him just solving one mystery. And nice. I appreciate that very, very much.
Yeah, no, that is good. That's the same thing as like, just to compare it to Superman. There's so many times where people are like, no, we need the stakes higher yet. It's like, you can make a compelling story that revolves around just like one thing. And right. Still make it really good, and so that's awesome. That's what's going on.
Yeah, I agree. Like clearly there are some building blocks here to something that's bigger, but it's not like earth shattering like it usually is. So yeah, it was good stuff. I'm also gonna give this a 9 out of 10. And I didn't read the backup story in Action because I just didn't really care. But this one was about Huntress, and Tamaki wrote this one too. And it was also really cool and also quite sad. So yeah, all of it was cool. I hope you enjoy this one too, Casey.
Nice, man. I'm excited. So next I'm going to talk about New Mutants issue 17. This is by Vita Ayali and Rod Rice. Now I have to ask, is this like a big seller at the shop? Or like people are like, oh man, I love the New Mutants? Yes. Okay, well, as someone that has no clue what's going on, I didn't like it.
That's too bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I like Rod Rice's art and everything, but there's just so much going on. And since this, like I said, first one that I picked up, I was lost the whole time. Like, you had some people that were, like the unattractive mutants were trying to figure out how to move their bodies into different bodies. And you had Danny Moonstar and this other character dealing with a white rabbit and a bunch of mystical stuff, and like just all the, and then like little X-23's like little clone girl, and her Badger were there for a little bit and stuff. And yeah, it's just wasn't for me. Maybe it would have been if I'd been reading since issue 1. But yeah, I wasn't feeling it, and I had no idea what was going on. So I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10 because it's not new reader friendly.
All right. Next for me will be Robin #1. This was written by Joshua Williamson and art done by Gleb, however you say it, Melnikov. So while we're not big fans of Melnikov's like as a person, I do like his art. The art's pretty cool in this. It's like a really weird mix of almost Frank Miller and Greg Capullo. Like
Nice.
like the best parts of both of them together. Um so yeah, this was like a pretty awesome issue. I think because like my whole thing with this book, it's like we know Damien's not the best fighter in the universe, but he thinks he is. So if this book plays on that, it'll be good. But there's some characters that show up, and it's like if these guys lose to Damien or to some of these other characters, I'm not going to be too happy about it.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes. Um, but anyway, Damien fights this guy named King Snake, who doesn't look like he could be, but is apparently Bane's father. And it's also weird because he doesn't even have, he's got a snake tattoo on his chest, but it's not a king snake. So I don't know if Melnikov just didn't know what a king snake looked like or if he just didn't care. But I was like, that's weird. And I'm not saying like I'm a snake expert, so it's like, ooh, he's not a king snake.
Yeah.
But anyway, he fights King Snake, and spoiler alert, little spoiler here, Casey, he beats King Snake.
They're gonna be like, King Snake just beats the crap out of him. Damien nearly dies.
Right. But Damien wins this fight to be recognized and invited to this martial arts tournament that's held on Lazarus Island. So he gets there, and we see some people that I haven't seen in a long time, and it made me really happy. One of them, or two of them, being from like the 90s Nightwing run. One is Lady Vic.
I don't know if, oh yeah, I remember Lady Vic. Yeah,
she has a great character design. And the other one is Brutal, who kind of wore like a stitched up leather costume and had just like a ton of throwing knives. It's like a throwing knife expert. And you just see glimpses of them, but I'm like, holy crap, that's Lady Vic and Brutal. Like that's super cool that that whoever decided to add them in here.
Now, I thought Nightwing also was supposed to be in it, the NITE wing guy, because I thought I saw him on a cover.
He is in it. You see him in like one panel, and that was fine too. But I was always a huge fan of those others too, as far as like minor villains. And this isn't a spoiler because we talked about it before on a podcast, but Connor Hawk shows up. And then we also see Ravager and is it Respawn, the other Deathstroke looking villain?
Oh, I couldn't tell you.
Okay. Well, either way, everybody's there, and this lady called Mother Soul is overseeing the tournament, and she's like giving everybody the rules, and Damien's like, are we here to talk, or are we here to fight? Who wants to fight me? And she was like, okay, I thought maybe we'd kind of do some introductions, but I guess we'll get right to a fight. Who wants to fight Robin? And this new character shows up, and they fight, and I'm not going to say what happens after that, but it ends on a pretty neat cliffhanger, and I am genuinely looking forward to the next issue. This was really awesome, and I hate to just keep giving out the same scores, but it genuinely is a 9 out of 10 for me.
Now, one thing that like, the way it sounds and the way like my brain is thinking, I have a feeling it's gonna end up being like that episode of Teen Titans where it was like the first episode was Speedy, where like Robin and Speedy are like going through the tournament. And I have a feeling it's gonna be like that with Robin and Connor. they're going to be going to the turn, beating up everybody, and it's going to end up the two of them fighting each other, and then they team up. Like it's going to be something like that. I have just a strong inkling that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, the only reason it's not a perfect 10 out of 10 is because I don't want to like overhype this book and then it not go that direction we were talking about, and it ends up kind of lame. And then like really the only part that truly bugged me, there's like 3 people on the ship that's going to Lazarus Island, and we overhear them talking, and they're like, "Oh, who'd you beat to get here?" And one of them says Bronze Tiger, and this is like one panel, so I'm not spoiling it for you. But he admits to cheating, so that made me feel like okay. And then one lady, like, oh, she had to fight Richard Dragon to earn a spot, and it doesn't say if she won or not. It just said she had to fight him. So I'm curious if that's like, did she beat him, or did she just earn his respect and that got her in here? Like, I want to kind of know about some of these other people, and I'm sure that they'll show us, or at least give us like a 1-panel origin story for these throwaway characters. But some of it I'm just like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, with old Dick Dragon, it's hard to say one way or the other how it could have gone, because like if he went with Lemire's Green Arrow Richard, like I don't know enough about that character to be like, he probably could have lost, but then if you go with like Denny O'Neil's Question one, I could 100% see him being like, I'm not interested, you can just win and I won't do anything about it because I don't care.
Right. Maybe that's what it was.
Yeah, so I mean, it's like, and like I said, if it's Jeff Lemire's, he very well could have lost, because I mean, I'm not trying to put him down, but he was Green Arrow's villain, so it's not like Green Arrow's known for his superior martial arts hand-to-hand combat stuff, so it's like,
yeah,
he's pretty much just a drug lord in that run, wasn't he?
Yeah, it wasn't good.
Yeah, I remember I read the first thing. I'm like, this art's awesome, but I was really disappointed by Richard Dragon, so I just didn't read anymore after that.
Yeah.
All right. So my next one I'm going to talk about is Miles Morales Spider-Man, and this is the Clone Saga, and this is by Saladin Ahmed and Carmen Carnero. This was actually a pretty good jumping on point for a new fan. Like, I've never read any Miles Morales, so you just get like him, dealing with different stuff. It's pretty cool. Like, it turns out one of his friends is now dating, I'm assuming, Miles's ex, and like it's awkward, and Miles wants to punch him about it, and then he's like, I'm such a jerk for doing, for getting all mad at my friend, and he whips off. But it's also like, that's your best friend, and he's shacking up with your ex-lady. You have every right to be mad, if you ask me. That breaks the bro code, bud. So maybe not punch him since you have superpowers, but you have every right to be upset with him. And so you get Spider-Man fighting Miles for a little bit, and that's pretty cool. It's very much, though, it's like, Peter, how many times have you jumped the gun fighting, or like been having people try to fight you because a misunderstanding, and you're doing this now to Miles? Like, come on, be better, Peter. But yeah, it's really enjoyable up until about the end when the clones show up. Like, it's clear that they're trying to do something different with the Clone Saga. So like you get these weirder clones of Miles that have like, one's like got spider legs, the other one's like transforms his body, and I don't know what's going on. The other one's got like weird sword things. So that's I thought kind of lame. Other people might like it. It's interesting. It doesn't have me hyped enough to keep reading it, because this was like, I think, a $4.25 book with my Comixology discount. So I was like, still, that's a lot for a book I don't care about. And then like it's got like a backup story that I read, and this one just like, it seems like it's just written by an old guy that thinks this is how kids talk, and maybe I'm just the old guy reading it, and I'm like, kids don't talk like this. But it's just like, it threw up way too much slang like every 5 seconds where they're like, okay, no cap, like that type of stuff where like all the time I'm like, is like, I think you're older than me and you just assume this is how kids talk today. Maybe I'm wrong, but you do get the first appearance of the Bumbler, which is hilarious, like a hilarious bee themed character.
I love that.
Yeah, like I'm disappointed I didn't buy this so I could have his first appearance on hand from now on. But yeah, so you have that, and that's pretty fun. Like he shoots honey and stuff, and Miles is gonna be late to his buddy's birthday. Like this was like, it was good. It was just like I said, the dialogue was a little off, but yeah, I did enjoy this a good bit, and I'm assuming if you are a Miles fan, this is like a must read because it's pretty awesome. Is this selling good at the shop?
Yeah, Miles does all right.
Cool. I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. I really, like I said, I really did enjoy it, but I'm not captivated enough to be like, man, I gotta find out what happens with these clones. I'm more like, man, when's the Bumbler series coming out?
Well, I will say this. You mentioned how you thought the clones were kind of lame. At least they're trying to do something different.
I mean, that's very true. I'll be honest though, I was 100% hoping that we would get like the Ben Reilly Miles Morales, like that's what I was hoping for when I started reading it. I'm like, at least we're gonna get like a cool clone knockoff, but we're not even getting that. We're just getting these weirdos.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Next for me is Beta Ray Bill number 2. This was written by, excuse me, Daniel Warren Johnson, and it was drawn by Daniel Warren Johnson. So yeah, this issue was every bit as cool as the first one. Bill goes to find Odin because he figures if anybody can get me a new weapon, it's Odin, who got me my first one. But somebody sneaks onto his ship that decides they need to travel with him. And I won't spoil who that is, but it was very unexpected and ended up being pretty hilarious as well. So yeah, they do find Odin, and this part I will spoil. Odin's like, look, I don't have like any of the magic that I used to have when I made you Stormbreaker that could change your form, but I know of a weapon that's equally as magic and powerful that probably could, and that is the currently unclaimed Sword of Surtur, but you're gonna have to go to Muspelheim for it. And also, people that go to Muspelheim get changed, so be prepared to like potentially lose yourself if you go there and claim this weapon. But apparently Bill really wants to get laid, so he's gonna try for it. And it's Lady Sif, so who can blame him? But yeah, anyway, Bill and the ones that decided they want to travel with him head there, and then something crazy happens to the ship, and then there's a to be continued. So it was really, really enjoyable. This one's gonna get the full 10 out of 10 for me. I liked all of it.
Nice.
And there was no cheesy throwaway, I just want to be pretty again line.
Good.
So.
That's good to hear. Now one question, what, like, since you're talking about how like it changes people, what if like he's no longer Horseboy after this? He's got a different design. Would you be okay with that? Or would you be like, oof, I don't like this?
I'd be okay with it because I don't think it'll be permanent,
Yeah.
He might rock Surtur's sword for a while, and if that's the case, that's fine. But I mean, I think eventually, in some capacity, Odin will probably come back, and I think Bill will either get a new Stormbreaker or something very similar to it that
Yeah.
isn't gonna potentially make him evil.
Yeah, I
But I
mean,
do love that whole bit.
yeah.
Very D&D.
And I mean, yeah, there's no way Odin's not coming back. Like, how many times has he left or died or whatever and then come back? So I mean, it's comics. It's like a big circle. It's gonna all come back.
It is. And I think that's fine because I mean, Odin, whether he just is kind of a jerk and decides he doesn't want the responsibility for a while, or he just enters the Odin sleep and is gone for a while, like he said, it always comes full circle. So right now he's just on his eat, pray, love, and he'll be back.
I would read the Odin Eat Pray Love
Me too. It'd be
comic.
great.
That'd be pretty great. So yeah, next is gonna be the Batman Scooby-Doo mysteries. So you have Batman teaming up with the world's greatest detective, Velma Dinkley, and they're gonna be, solving crimes, which it's the weirdest thing to think about because it's like, oh, these guys unmask the villains, but it starts off with them fighting Joker. So it's like Joker's just like he would just murder them. But luckily they end up beating them, and then they talk about how like Robin's like, oh, I'm gonna take this Joker thing to put it have as a decoration, and then like they're like, oh well, I wish we could put like the trophies and stuff in our van, but we don't have enough room, and that's where we live because we're homeless. And so then they're like, well, come look at the cave, and so they blindfold them, and Robin had to drive him to the cave. And yeah, when we get there, it's like everyone's looking at their own favorite things. So like Velma's like, look at these computers, and then Daphne's like, not to mention the fully stocked gym, and she's doing like, oh man, you can't see. Oh, she's doing like high level gymnastic work right now. It's like, Daphne, why are you hanging out with these hippies? Like, if you're that level of good gymnastics working on the bars, you should be in the Olympics, girl. Come on.
Or at least a fat girl.
Yeah. Like Batman's like, she's got red hair and she can do that stuff. Alfred, have her try on one of the costumes. And then like Fred is just like, oh, you guys got some traps? And he's all happy about that. And then sure enough, Scooby and Shaggy got booby trapped, and Shaggy's like yeah, it's got booby traps, and then Scooby's like, where are the rubies? So that actually made me laugh when I read it. So yeah, then it ends up like this is so I don't know who this is, but we don't have ghosts, so we're gonna have to try to figure it out. That's how it ends. So yeah, it was pretty silly, pretty fun. I mean, it's exactly what you expect from a Batman Scooby-Doo team up. So I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's still just Batman and Scooby-Doo.
Right.
I wanted a gritty, detective story, and I got this.
Hey, they tried that with Scooby Apocalypse, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, I've just got Teen Titans. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Left.
All right, so I'm going to talk about Savage Avengers really quick, and this is by Jerry Duggan with Pat Zurcher on the art. Like, this book is basically just the Conan book. Like, there's no other real Avengers in it. Like, Conan teams up with Rhino to rob a bank, and then Spider-Man shows up, and he fights Spider-Man, and it's actually pretty awesome. I'm not gonna lie. I was like reading it, I'm like, this is actually great. If I remember, I am gonna pick this book up again. I really loved it. I mean, there's not much that you can be mad about with Conan fighting Spider-Man and wanting Spider-Man's clothes because he thinks that's what gives Spider-Man his powers. So he's like, I'll buy it off of you. And he hands him like gold coins, and Spider-Man's like, what? And then they end up fighting. He like rips off like Spider-Man's like butt of his pants, and so Spider-Man has to web up his butt. And yeah, and like Rhino they end up getting away because Rhino saves the day. And then there's some other stuff going on that I honestly don't know what that's about because I haven't been reading it, but it's pretty exciting. In the next issue, the cover is Conan teaming up with Ghost Rider, so it's like, I hope I remember I want to read this because that's pretty exciting. So I'm going to give that a 9 out of 10. Really liked it. And the next one, it's Harley Quinn #2 by Stephanie Phillips and Riley Rossmo. And as I say every time I talk about anything Harley Quinn related, not a Harley Quinn fan, but this book's awesome. Like, I loved it. I love Riley Rossmo's art. The story itself is kind of like dumb, but it's fun. So like you kind of overlook the dumbness because like Hugo Strange, the new mayor, that's like, we need to be tough on all of these baddies and the guy that dresses like a bat. Okay, so I'm gonna hire Hugo Strange, this former baddie, to help get rid of the clowns. And it's like, this doesn't make any sense, but it's a lot of fun. So I enjoyed it, even though it didn't make any sense. And this art's fantastic. Harley's hanging out with this weird ex-clown dude, and she's trying she's doing her best, and that's all you can ask of her. And Hugo's coming, trying to get her and stuff. But yeah, like I said, I really loved it. I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. Pretty stupid in parts, and the story wasn't like 100, but that art was 100. So yeah, 8 out of 10. And this is probably one that I'm gonna be picking up in the future. So that's 1+ for you, man. Your pockets are getting bigger because of me.
No kidding. Two different titles that you like Harley Quinn. I never thought I'd see the day.
I know, man. So last up is the Teen Titans Academy. Where is the people that wrote it? Okay, I think it's right here.
It's Tim Sheridan.
Oh, there we go.
Yep, and Rafa Sandoval on the art.
All right. So what do you think of this, man? Because you read the first issue.
I did. I also want to point out the colorist, which is Alejandro Sanchez, because I thought the coloring deserved to be mentioned here.
Yeah.
I actually like this issue.
Same here.
Thought it was pretty cool. The art is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
But there's lots of little stuff like, oh, is this character bad? Like,
yeah,
in 2 different spots. And I've talked about this with a couple customers. They're like, why is Nightwing with Barbara in his book, but Starfire in this one? And they kind of touch on this to where it sounds like this happens right before he goes to Bloodhaven and does all the stuff with Barbara. I really hope that we don't get a love triangle because, those are bad always. Those never turn out. And
like, it's 100% looking like that's what we're gonna get. And I agree with you. Like, all that's gonna do is make Dick look like one. It's just not gonna be good.
Yeah. So, and I don't even think that he and Barbara are like at all acting like a couple. They've hung out in his 2 issues, but it could definitely go that way. So we'll see. But anyway, as far as the issue itself goes, I just think it's cool. There's like a lot of characters and a lot of stuff happening, but I think that the storytelling is done well enough to where the stuff in the background is just as entertaining as the stuff that we are focused on in the foreground. Like the part where Beast Boy is like transforming into a giant wolf behind, with the students and stuff like that. I don't know. I thought all this was cool, and I'm surprised, but I'm here for it. So
yeah, I will say, like, one thing that I don't quite understand is that girl, the speedster girl, because it's like, did they explain her powers any better in the first issue? Because it's like, she can do sprints, which, okay, I get that part, but it's like, so her arms can't be super fast. Like, she can only move her legs super fast, because you think like there's different times where she's like, oh, I have to hurry up and get to my blades so I can go. But it's like, dude, if that was Barry and he was in a wheelchair, he could still wheel it super fast to get to whatever to help him out. It just seems like it's kind of a cop out with to try to add extra like stakes or whatever.
I mean, that's why they're here, right? To learn how to like get a grip on their powers and stuff. So
yeah, I guess it's just, I don't know. That just seemed like, because it seems like she's just a normal person until she puts the blades on. Then she's like, now I can sprint,
Yeah.
So like that seemed a little odd, but the end of it's kind of got me excited. And honestly, with the team that shows up at the end, it's like one of those things where it's like I should be reading that book too, honestly, because I like one of those characters.
Yeah. Well, I'm really interested in two of those characters, but dude, I felt so dumb because I've put in the order for the next issue like a month ago. So I knew that they were going to show up, but the whole time I'm like, that contact she deleted from her phone, who could that be? And then the team shows up and I'm like, oh man, I'm so dumb.
But yeah, like now what's your feel on that the one kid that might be a clone that might have, that they're comparing to Connor?
There's not enough for me to go on yet. I don't want to really say one way or the other.
It's like, because I was getting Connor vibes too, but it's like the main downside to that is like they skipped the fun Connor and they went straight to the angst Connor, and like that's a little bit of disappointing for me. But hopefully it gets cooler.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm here for the next one for sure.
Yeah, same here. So I mean, you're getting three books.
Sweet. Thanks, Diamond, I guess.
Yeah.
It's the only time I'll ever say that.
So yeah, I'd give it a 8 out of 10. What about you?
Yeah, that's about where I'm at with it too.
Nice.
All right, and then as far as what we're excited for next week, Casey, go ahead.
All right, so I'm gonna say Batman, The Good Asian. I actually read that was a backup in one of the books I read like a couple days ago, and I was like, this is actually like a little bit more exciting than the actual story I read. And then I'll go with, I'm just gonna say Noctera number 3.
Can't believe you didn't say Immortal Hulk.
I know, right? It's like it was close.
Yeah. For me, Die, because that has been on hiatus for a little bit. Iron Fist, Heart of the Dragon, number 5. And then there's a couple that could be on this list, but I'm going to say Star Wars War of the Bounty Hunters Alpha. This is like the prelude to this whole War of the Bounty Hunters thing, and I don't know what it's about, but I mean, that alone just sounds cool, so I hope that it is cool.
One question about that, is that the Charles Soule one that's coming out?
Yes, so it's gonna span all the Star Wars books like that. It's not a mini series, it's like 2 from each Star Wars title. Makes it up, but that's fine. Like, whatever, I'm gonna read it either way. Way I'm picking up an issue.
Yeah, like I was interested if it was an event book and it was written by Charles Soule. I'm like, I'll give it a go, but that sounds like it's gonna be too much for me, too much for my blood.
I don't know. I don't think like 3 or 4 different people are writing it. I think it's all his thing, but I don't know if he's going to be credited in each book or what. But I'll let you know. All
right, man. Because that'd be about the main way. Because I miss his writing a lot. And I'm not even like I say, I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan, and Disney's kind of killed a lot of that love, but Charles Soule might be able to revive it.
Yeah.
He might be able to put some soul back into it.
Hey.
And he just turned the podcast off in a fit.
All right. Fantastic Four.
Yeah. So the other day I went on a outdoor run and I saw 4 turtles and I took a picture of each of them and I posted it on Instagram. It was the most hilarious thing. I gave them little bandanas and I said, it's the 4 teenage unmutated turtles. Hilarious. If you're not following me, you're missing out on stuff like that like once a year. And so I just had the idea, like, why don't you give me 4 lame superhero or villain teams? Prefer puns, on already made teams, but really just do whatever.
Okay, so I didn't know you were looking for me to make up names, because I thought you were just asking me for 4 lame characters.
Oh, okay.
So I apologize that this is not going to be what you were looking for. But the big ones that came to mind for me were like arm fall off boy, which is real. Gosh, like
Matter Eater Lad.
King. Well, I don't want to use basically all the Legionnaires can be on this list. But I'll say Condiment King or like Crazy Quilt. And then just to throw in a Marvel, there's a lot of X-Men that could be on this list, but
for sure, man.
I might get a little hate from like one person here, but I'm going to say Squirrel Girl because even if she's a fun character, it's still kind of lame.
Yeah. I mean, that's part of the charm, I think.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not hating on it, but it is what it is.
All right. I put too much thought into this, so
I can
bear with me. So I had this is the first one that I thought of, and it was the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse. And they're just like 4 different guys that have very like dry, coarse skin. They're like, we're not even super. Why are you using us? And then the Fantastic Four, they're all caramel-based characters. So you'd have like, in my head, you'd have the 3 different caramels, but then the 4th one would just be like a caramel pie. It's just a pie, Then the Guardians of Golf Galaxy, and Golf Galaxy is like just a business. So they're just like the security staff at Golf Galaxy. And then my favorite one is the Sinister Fix. They're multiple like skilled laborers that all work together to basically overcharge you for fixing your house. So like, let's say like you have a leaky pipe and you call up the plumber from the Sinister Fix. He'll be like, oh, I can't work on this pipe because there's some exposed wires over there. I'll get electrocuted. Don't worry, I got this electrician. He's great. And then the electrician comes in. He's like, oh, I'd love to, but these floor joists, they're terrible. I can't work in this condition. We'll have to get my carpenter friend in. And then the carpenter comes in. The carpenter's like, I can't be working on this stuff. These pipes are leaky. And then the plumber comes back in. It's just this endless cycle, and you're being charged out the butt for it.
Oh, that doesn't surprise me at all that you would come up with this.
That's what I did when I was hanging out with my girlfriend. She was not enthused.
Were you bouncing these ideas off of her and she just wasn't having it?
No, actually, she was watching Desperate Housewives, and I was like typing away on my phone, like this is genius.
Okay, well, I think that brings us to the end of our episode.
For sure, man.
All right, so let's do our closing plugs. If you would, please like us on Facebook at facebook.com/2worldspodcast. You can also find us on Twitter at 2_worlds_PC and on Instagram at 2worldspod. You can email us at 2worldspodcast@gmail.com. And also now on YouTube. So find us at, you can just search YouTube 2 Worlds Podcast and we'll pop up. Please like and subscribe there. Comment on the video, do anything to get the old algorithm flowing there.
Give us your 4 best lame pun-filled supervillain or superhero teams. I'd love to hear them. Jake will groan, but I'll love to hear them.
And also, if you guys also read any of these books that we read and you want to give us your thoughts on it, comment on something. Let us know.
Yeah, for sure.
And finally, if you're listening to this through any podcast site or wherever you listen to podcasts, please review us 5 stars wherever you're listening. We would really appreciate it. So, and we'd love to stay in chat, but we have to go make a couple $1 billion movies. So we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.